we interpret things that we feel are going to take us to the next step, or that are going to put us on a pedestal. I mean, we kind of say, you know, these are the things that I'm going to do, and I'm going to cherry pick. And also there's some things too. I mean, you've got non-denominational, you've got, you know, the King James version, you got, it's like, guys, let's not argue about what version I got, because at the end of the day, maybe like you say, it's the principles. I think another thing that you tapped into is that if you were saying, you know, it's Jesus, and everybody say, hey, like, be like Jesus. Well, there was a time too. What did he do? He walked into the synagogue and he walked right up to the tables and he ripped those tables up in the air. Yeah. And basically, if he had all 5 fingers, he had 2 of them up. Right. And he was basically saying, you know, here's what the issue is, and I'm going to go ahead and represent that issue. And so I don't know if, you know, always the idea of be like Jesus is a sense of love. It's also a sense of, I don't want to say tyranny, if the word's right, but the sense of like, hey, I'm going to overturn and I'm going to disrupt. I think that one thing, and I was actually working with my team, we were talking about, and I haven't been able to really bring it up. And it was kind of like one of these things where I was like, how do I bring it up? Maybe you're the right person, but it was super fun. I was actually having a conversation. I said, guys, if you want to know marketing, study the church. Mm-hmm. If you want to know marketing, study the church. The church is a master. They have sold, I don't want to say sold, they have displayed the dream outcome. Every single religion has displayed the dream outcome. They've shown the time that it'll take to get there, right? Say this prayer, boom, you're in, right? And what you started off with, you know, we want to have simplicity, or we want to be able to look at other people and we want to say, wow, I perceive that if they can do it, I can do it. And that happens with Christianity. You know, you tell your testimonial, you're basically saying, I was a torn, broken person, you could be saved too. And you watch all of these things. And if you can kind of pull yourself away from that, you can look at the fundamentals are laid directly in the church. And I always, what's your thoughts about that?
I definitely agree. Everything is in the Bible, like everything. Like I was having a conversation with a client who was struggling with delegation. And I could talk about the story of Moses, where Moses's father-in-law was bringing his wife and his kids to come see him. And Moses was busy, you know, keeping the people and adhering to their grievances and all of that. And his dad turns to him and says, you can't do all of the things. You need to appoint some people to help you. That was a story about delegation in the Bible. I could talk about the woman in 2 Kings after the widow, her husband had died and the bill collectors were calling, and she went to Elijah, and Elijah was like, what do you have? And she was like, I have this little bit of oil. He said, go borrow jars. This is sales in the Bible. Go borrow jars from your neighbors. Fill the oil that you have in the jars. The oil will not stop until you run out of jars. Then go back to your neighbors and sell them what you have. That's sales. Like, I mean, I could talk about, and I could keep going. I could talk about leadership, everything you need to be a successful CEO. Right. Everything.
Jesus comes out and says, I need 12 people to get this message out.
Listen. That's recruitment. That's hiring. He did corrective action plans. Yeah, everything is in the Bible. It is a great backdrop for life, right? I mean, and even, you know, those people who have the acronym for basic, what is it? Basic something before leaving Earth. There's a basic instructions before leaving Earth, I think is what it is. Is what the Bible, what it stands for or whatever. It's all like, I feel like we, especially people who operate in a religious filter, we're missing the mark, and we're missing the opportunity to see what is possible for us if we realize, you know, that there's one true and living God, right? And while you might call it whatever, like, you know, it's all, Allah means God in that language, right? Like we're missing the opportunity to experience the fullness of the abundance by focusing on being separated and the do's and the don'ts that go along with what we've determined to be right or wrong, instead of looking at what it is that actually puts us in the position to experience everything that it is that God desires for us.